Alright, so we're going to do a black woolly bugger. Size 8 hook. Do a bead head. Make sure that you insert the hook through the small side of the bead. I know the picture's a little blurry, that's just because I have a crappy camera. Put that in your vise. Make sure that the point of the hook is not sticking out of the vise. That was a big mistake that I made when I first started tying flies. Your thread will just get caught on it, and it'll, break the thread. You'll have to start over. I'm using 100 denier black thread. Black chenille. Black marabou. And black woolly bugger hackle. We're going to use lead-free wire to wrap around the hook to add some weight to it. Woolly buggers need weight to make sure you can sink that hook real good. The UV thin at the end to secure everything. Make sure it stays on the hook. And you want to get enough wire to wrap around that hook to fill about half the hook, maybe a little more. If you get too much, that's okay. You can just helicopter it off like that once you get it on the hook. Start spinning that wire around. Doesn't have to be perfect at first. Just get it around it, and you can kind of cinch it up as you get it around there. Just kind of holding it in place with one hand and spinning it around the hook. Trying to get it as tight as possible. But if it's not quite even, like I said, you can just slide it on up into that bead head. And then once you get enough on there, you can just helicopter it off and break that wire. Just like this. And use your thumbnail or your nails and just kind of like pinch that down real good to where there's no sharp edges to break your thread. Alright, start your thread. And you want to bring it down to about where the hook bends. Now I got some crappy scissors I'm working with. I need to upgrade those. Definitely don't help to get the marabou right, but I'll explain that here in a minute. So the first thing you want to do is put the marabou on. So grab some black marabou, and you want it as long as the hook. Yeah, as long as the hook is long, and then put it on the back of the hook. So you want that much hanging off the hook in the back. And then one loose wrap, and then a tight wrap, and just go ahead and secure that with a few more wraps. I like to lay a little flatter, so I'm coming down to get that to just lay the way I want it to. There you go, just like that. Now you're going to put your hackle on. It's actually the last part that you're going to wrap on there. Make sure you get a long enough piece. A real long piece. I probably should have started with the thin end. It would have worked better that way, I think. But just pull off some fibers. Get a nice clean part of that feather without any fibers on it, so that you can secure it real nice, real clean on top of that marabou, on top of the hook. One loose wrap. You need to pinch the thread a little bit to get that loose wrap right. And then once you get the loose wrap, you just kind of pull it and do a few tight wraps to secure that in there. Okay, now you want a decent piece of chenille. You know, not too long, but again, if you use too much, you'll get the hang of it. You want to put that on the top of your hook, or on the top of the hackle. And again, just a nice loose wrap. Make sure you pinch it so you can get the loose wrap in there, and then a tight wrap, and then just secure it in there nice and neat. And I kind of struggled with it because I wanted to come down on me and whatnot, but just work with it a little bit and get it to smooth out. It's not that big a deal. And then bring your thread all the way up to the bead head. Have some patience, you know, just work with it. Okay, threads all the way up to the bead head. Now you're going to take your chenille and you're going to wrap it around towards you all the way up to the bead head. I'm going to do one wrap towards you and then go back just a little bit, and another wrap, and then wrap all the way up to the bead head. Make sure you're keeping it real tight. Each wrap right next to each other. Once you get up to the bead head, wrap your thread around it, and then pull the chenille back a little bit. Wrap your thread around it again. then you can cut it off. So one wrap. Actually, I did 2 wraps, and then pulled the chenille back, and then did a few wraps on top of that to secure it real nice. Cut that off. Do a couple more wraps if you want to clean it up a little bit. Not really matter that much. Now we're going to do the hackle. Now you did the chenille towards you, you're going to do the hackle away from you, so it really sits in there in between the chenille. I'm going to kind of struggle with this a little bit, but just work with it until it looks right. If you don't like the way it looks, and you know, you can like I said, or what I did is I trimmed a little bit off, because the way this one ended up is that I used the kind of thick part of the hackle, to where there was a lot of long fibers of the hackle right here, and so I just kind of trimmed those down a little bit to match the rest of the hackle that was closer to the bead head. Just keep working with it and get it to where you like the way it looks. There we go. We're getting some nice hackle wraps there. Actually starting to look like a woolly bugger now. I don't have any hackle pliers, so I'm just using my hands. Like I said, I need to upgrade some of my gear, but don't let go of that hackle, and it's real rough. One wrap around the hackle, maybe 2 wraps, and then pull that hackle back. Do a few more wraps, keeping that thread tight. You see how I got some real long feathers or fibers at the back of the woolly bugger there? I'm going to trim some of that back. Just cut some of those down a little bit, make it look a little better. But cut that little piece of hackle off there. Do at least 2 whip finishing knots after cutting that hackle off. So I just did 1 there, and actually I did 3 of them, but that's like the 3rd take, I believe. Cut that off. Now you can trim that up a little bit. Use the UV thin glue there. I use a little, like too much. I didn't have the right tip for it, but just a little bit. Let that soak into the fibers and the thread. Once that UV thin is soaked through the fibers there and the thread, then you can use a UV light and we'll harden that up real nice. It's just real quick. UV lights are cool. Or UV products, period, are cool. And there you go. There's a black woolly bugger. I also like this in olive. Well, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe.